Hey, Decathlon Gamer, welcome back to F1 Manager episode 66. Last three races of the year, and before we roll into Mexico, research upgrade for suspension is complete. We spent no hours on it. We have 3 days till we enter the next and final session of the year with that. But again, I think the suspension is something that I'm now under the impression of I just need to continually do upgrade research wise as fast as we can for as long as we can, repeatedly again and again, but not really committing the hours to it. And eventually it's gonna get there. It's gonna do what we need it to do. Now, of course, the brake cooling is the one that's taken a big loss with a 30% decrease for the coming year. And so we're seeing, a rebound from that, and that's where I'm putting the extra focus on this one. You can see, overall, this is bringing the car back into the 70s or, a little bit higher within the 70s, and just tiny little gains here and there, but it's something. And with it being done in November, I can immediately turn around and do one more. And if we have no time left, that's fine, but at least we'll get, 3 research projects done within a 3-month period towards the end of the year on the suspension, which it'll add up. Last year in Mexico, Charles Leclerc ran away with the victory quite comfortably ahead, 15 seconds. Verstappen had a small advantage over the chasing pack, but from second down to, let's say 10th, was all pretty tight. 10 seconds separating that entire pack. We weren't far behind, but we weren't really in contention. We managed to get both cars in the points. They were in DRS range of each other at the finish. Albon just ahead of Pourchaire. That, by the way, was where we really started to notice Pourchaire now having the pace to match Albon. It's those other parts that haven't caught up, right? He's got Albon's pace, but he still doesn't have Albon's car control. And, of course, last race we had that exposed a bit with him finishing in 18th after his, 2 mistakes, even if the first one didn't feel like much of a mistake. It didn't look to be like much of a mistake, but he was the one who ultimately took the blame for it. But based on where the car is right now and the track we're heading to, and like I said, of the 4 races, my strategy was going to be 2 and 2 for the sets of car components we had left, and the weakest for the 4 races is going to be this one, where we use the same parts one final time, and then the fresher set of parts will be for the last 2 races, which means, this one could be a little struggle for us with that long straight. Top speed still not our thing. Even if we've gotten a lot better at it this season, we're still below grid average.
Music is in the air this weekend, but it's not mariachi we'll be hearing. It's going to be the roar of the engines and the cheers of the crowd. Formula One is back in the very heart of Mexico City at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. This is an exhilarating circuit on the Formula One calendar. We'll be sure to see plenty of battles and overtaking this weekend, especially with the help of not 1, not 2, but 3 DRS zones. This is it. We're down to the last few races of the season, and it's time for that final push. Who will be crowned champion at the end of it all? We'll find out soon enough. What will happen this weekend? Only time will tell.
So much of our pace is derived from those 3 DRS zones and keeping up with faster cars. That's going to be an important aspect to this race weekend. But with light rain predicted for Sunday, it looks like we could be in for some variable conditions, some intermediate tire usage, and that could change things, and usually for us, for the good. Following our banker lap in Q1, we are 10th and 14th. Pourchaire, only just over a 10th better than Albon, but that's quite a few positions. So the field, it's bunched up. It's close. Right now, I've got Albon on a fresh set, just to be safe, because he's 14th. Right now, I've got Pourchaire on a used set, and I'm still debating right up here till the last moment whether I should use the fresh set to make sure he gets out of Q1 as well. It's only Q1. We've got 0.3 of a cushion over Magnussen. I don't think that's close enough for Albon to risk it. Haas is off the pace. Aston Martin is off the pace, not massively. And for that reason, Albon, definitely, I want to use that spare set Pourchaire, I think I'm willing to take the risk here. Heading into our laps, Pourchaire is just ahead of Leclerc. If Leclerc gets up beside him, it's going to ruin both of their laps. So bad timing on that one. We've seen a couple of those out there. Albon's got some clean air. Pourchaire, I think, is less likely to improve his time based on a couple of factors here. One, the used set. Two, it just, I don't know, it feels awkward with Leclerc just behind us like that. But Leclerc sits P3, so for him, it's not going to matter that he doesn't improve his time. Pourchaire finishes, he's still 7/10 down, stays P10. But meanwhile, with Albon, as he's going to come around here through the stadium section and try to wrap up his lap. We'll see here shortly where this places him, though for now he's already got 5 cars behind him. He's safe. He is safe. Did not improve his time though. That's a little surprising. Heading out for our Q2 banker laps, and we are going to get a clean run in as nobody's out in front of us. Albon has to make one of those used sets work for him because he's only got one new set left available right now for Q2. Pourchaire does have 2 sets. We will use them for each run, so he's going to get a fresh run each time. Pourchaire should be ahead of Albon and is by more than 1/10 of a second on this one. And I think a lot of that is coming down to that used compound. Meanwhile, we are way behind Verstappen's pace, but that's nothing new this season. Fastest car, much better driver than his teammate, so it's pretty standard. We are ahead of Guan Yu Zhou so far, and we're going to need to be ahead of quite a few cars. This is going to be a tricky Q2. I'm not sure we're going to get out here. It's going to be close. With a short enough lap here, we're going to try to get a second run in on the set we just used for both of these guys and get out there and, see if we can't improve our times. For now, though, we are on the fringes. Albon is 12th, Pourchaire is 11th, and, just behind where we need to be. And it looks like we were not able to improve on that lap, so we're going to... Perez coming out really early. This is going to mess up a lot of people's times. In fact, I think we need to go on the earlier side so that Perez is not getting out in front of us. Here comes Perez. Now Perez is on his hot lap. And Russell has spun here in Sector 3. So Russell with the lockup, waiting for everybody to get out of the way. But now Perez is in our way. Right as we come around to start our lap, we'll get that toe and get back by him. So... I don't know. Albon's just behind Pourchaire, really close. I think that's going to mess up Albon's lap. Not sure how that one happened. Let's check in on how we're looking. Both are green through the first 2 sectors, where Norris looks like he did not improve. Bottas does not improve. Albon all the way up to P5. But Pourchaire. So Albon gets the toe and gets helped around. Pourchaire does not, struggles. He's out. Albon going for the banker lap on the used set. And we've got Leclerc coming out just ahead of us, but I do think he ultimately stays out of the way. Probably gets in Verstappen's way, though. And that could be good for us as we come around and finish that lap. Half a second down on Verstappen, which is much less than normal. But still almost 2/10 down on Alonso in the Alfa Romeo, the only one to even make Q3. So the time's not looking great. It is ahead of Hamilton at least, but yeah, definitely not looking great on that one. Last set of tires, but it is what it is. We'll have no fresh set for the race. Set this one out and take the P10, but based on the P5 we managed in Q2, I feel like we have to take a shot at it. He is capable, has shown he's capable of putting in a really good time and moving up the grid. Albon will be 8th out there, plenty of space. Leclerc stacked too close with Sainz. It's either going to turn into a really good time or a really bad time, and from how close he is, I'm guessing it's going to make it a bad time. Albon last. 10th place. Not what we were hoping for with that one. Red Bull front row lockout. Leclerc 5th, Sainz 9th. I do suspect we're going to be losing some points on them this weekend, but hopefully we can minimize the damage.
The time has come to fight it out. It's race day.
Qualifying went well for Williams, as attested by their strong position on the grid. Now it's all about finding that edge for the race itself. The work Red Bull did during qualifying was nothing short of spectacular. Now let's see if they can repeat that for today's race. A sunny day here with only a few clouds in the sky. If things stay this way, the weather shouldn't pose any challenges to the teams.
Well, there's some serious decision making ahead for teams and the drivers as we begin the Mexican Grand Prix.
That light rain is coming early and being continuous throughout the remainder of the race, which means tactically, I don't think we're going to gain much. We could gain a little bit with teams that delay by a lap for pitting their second car. But I don't see anybody switching to wets, as we're not going to experience any heavy rain. And there shouldn't be anything in terms of the rain going away, so the track won't be drying out, so there is no switch back. So without any crossover periods, except for the first time when we go from no rain to light rain, that's it. So we have that 1 to 2 lap window of when is the right time to pit. We're probably going to be trying to double stack. Albon, after a couple penalties to other cars, will start from P8, Porsche from P12. They'll have a little bit of separation between them. I think I'll be more inclined to try to push with Albon in that first stint, based on the fact that he's 4 positions ahead, to try to space him out a little bit more. Meanwhile, driving a little more conservatively with Porsche to make sure there's enough of a gap for a clean double stack when the rain does come. And then we can, push Porsche a little bit more later on in the race as a result to try to make up some of that ground that he'll have lost being behind his teammate on that particular lap. But again, he should still gain something over those that, unlike him, avoid the double stack and stay out a whole extra lap. Or more, for that matter. And how many teams are going to actually opt for the soft compound when we are switching to intermediates after a short period of time? Albon does not have a fresh set, but he'll be fine. Porsche does, so for that reason, also Porsche might actually close that gap up on Albon in time. We're only under fueling by a single lap, as we've had complications when it comes to under fueling by 2 laps, and it's already pretty light. With 3 DRS zones, I think we'll have an easier time keeping up with various cars out there. So we may try to go forward, especially with Albon here in the early stages.
Now we should have good weather for the race, and that will be welcome news for the teams. Here we have Alexander Albon. They might not be in the top 3 spots, but things could change fast once the race gets underway. And looking at the second Williams car. Slower than most yesterday, so today they'll be starting from the bottom half of the grid. The teams are ready to go. What will happen next? We're about to find out at the Mexican Grand Prix. And it's lights out, and away we go.
2 pre-race predictions both say that the weather is going to be dry, but that just does not seem to be the case. Porsche already having a look to the inside, going 3 wide. Will he be able to move up a spot? And let's see right away how many cars. No one, just us. We are the only ones on the soft compound here in this first stint. So honestly, we really should be moving forward. Albon's up to P7. Porsche, though, struggling down a little bit, P13, but he's going to recover that, get back to P12, it looks like. He's got himself a little traffic, though. And that's P11. Meanwhile, with Albon, how's Albon doing? He's getting up beside Alfa Romeo, which is probably Alonso. It is. That's for P6, and we get to the inside before we hit the now final turn and wrap up lap number 1 with Albon up to P6, up 2 spots already, and Porsche up to P11. He was down a spot off the start, but he's gained 2 since then. Albin getting up the inside of Russell. And can he complete the move? It's a little tight with the Ferrari of Leclerc there. But that's ideal because that's who we want to get up beside and battle with today anyway. And Pourchaire getting up the inside of Norris. Down that back straight. Oh gosh, he went really wide and gave him a shot to open that doorway and get back in there. Activated for lap number 3. Not for this straight, but from everything beyond this point, it'll become available. But now we have used up a lot of our batteries, so we are going to have to try to settle in here. Pourchaire a couple seconds behind anyway. It's not by much. 2.5 maybe. That's about all you need anyway. So in Pourchaire's case, I think let's accept the track position for now.
Leave core increased, please.
Let's go standard. And Albin gets up the inside of Leclerc. This is one we definitely want to get. Through the stadium section, we'll have the inside as we come out, and good. That's good. But there goes the battery. See if we can get that one more position for Pourchaire. Getting ahead of the 2 Ferraris will be ideal before the first stop. Battery empty, but we have gotten up beside the Ferrari. Go ahead and go neutral though, as the battery is technically empty. And are we able to tuck in? Yes, we are. Move complete. Jeez, Pourchaire went really wide there.
It's a stonking lap.
Albin, another new fastest lap. No, Pourchaire with the new fastest lap. And Sainz is more than a second behind. Wouldn't that be something if we could start that? Ooh, big lockup ahead of us. Someone. Oh, and it's Leclerc! Leclerc with the big lockup. He is off the road.
Yellow red.
Let's take a closer look. Watch this. There's
Leclerc. I saw the smoke.
Just a bit too
massive
heavy on the
lockup.
brakes, and
He
they've
goes
locked up.
way wide there. And he's going to hold up and wait for everyone to go by. And 1.2 back. So if we have a 7-man train, things are looking very good for this first run. And of course, we are going off of Verstappen's pace for this one. It's not opening it up a lot, but it's opening it up. Sector 1. So Schumacher off. Okay.
Yep, copy.
The middle
We've had a crash.
midfield has been held up there by Schumacher's crash. Those guys got backed up as a result. This is opening a pretty big gap between the front group, tail group. Wait for these guys to both close back up. But Vettel has gotten around Sainz because of that DRS. So Sainz down to P9. Already another further spot below. Magnussen is now the trailer. Schumacher is into the pits after his crash. I think Schumacher, I do think he was the cause of that. I hadn't looked really closely at the bottom of the field on where they were, so I could be wrong, but I do think that Schumacher's off has kind of held those guys up. Albin. Pourchaire has closed back up. Let's go ahead and harvest with Pourchaire again. Already back down to 1.3, 1.5.
Rain coming.
Weather predicted. 4 minutes. Schumacher's miles behind, but that other group, led by Perez, who's in P14. Perez, P14. So that's actually one Red Bull way off. They had a front row lockout, but I'm wondering if one of them was carrying a penalty. As he's down to 59%, so he falls under that 60% threshold and immediately begins to lose ground. He just gets back within a second here. Pourchaire at 66% is definitely better off, and we've done well to recover quite a bit of battery on that lap. but now Albin is struggling to keep DRS. But here's the rain.
So it's raining, just watch out.
Here is the rain. Keeping an eye on it. 0.3 millimeters and climbing pretty fast with half a lap to go. I'm guessing this is our time to pit. 1 lap earlier than expected, but yeah, we're already at 0.6. Is Schumacher going to pit again? No, he continues on. Now it's over 1, so it's already perfect timing. He's in. 2.641, and he's held up, waiting, still waiting, finally back out. Pourchaire is finally in. He's waiting. He's still waiting. He is still waiting. Already the Ferrari is gone. Still waiting. Finally. Holy crap, that was a long wait. So, Albin comes back out in P7, but we are right behind Verstappen, which means I think we are in second place.
That's right.
No, Hamilton has taken the virtual lead in 5th place. Verstappen 6th. Albin is 7th. We still have cars. Perez behind us. Stroll, Tsunoda, Leclerc still on mediums. Schumacher still on the hards. There are still 9 cars that did not pit this lap. 9, which means half of every team stayed out, presumably. And we were the only ones to double stack. Presumably, I could be off on that, but that seems to be the case. So Albin is now virtual 3rd. We are caught behind a very slow moving car. Can we get past some of these guys?
If needed.
We've already gotten the inside of the AlphaTauri. Meanwhile, Albin is also caught up behind somebody going very slow. Albin's up to P5.
Williams there, gaining several places in one go.
Ocon and Russell both into the pits. Guan Yu Zhou.
Schumacher has pitted.
Hamilton is behind us now, so we are now virtually P2, and we're to the inside of Verstappen. We're going to take the race lead here in just a moment. Albin into the race lead. Here is Pourchaire still battling it out, still in heavy traffic. It's going to clear up in just a moment, but as those cars get out of the way and we get up to speed, right now we've got a massive battle of 6 cars very close together, and it looks like in a second we'll be second in the group. We are in that P9 that we predicted. Okay, everybody onto the intermediates. Don't know about the last 2. Let's see in a second where we're at with that. Let's go with the leader interval, which is Albin. So that part has worked out really well. So Albin leads from Verstappen and Hamilton, all within a second of each other. Alonso is 1.4 down. And then we have our first gap. Ocon, 6 seconds back. Russell is 8.5 seconds back. Sainz is 11 seconds back. And that is Albin under pressure from a much faster Verstappen. Pourchaire has the fastest lap, and we are expecting rain for the rest of the race, which means Pourchaire should be getting a bonus point today as long as we finish within the points. It's going to be wet the rest of the race. So that's a big bonus. We picked up a bonus point for that, or will theoretically pick up that bonus point. But Sainz is 3 seconds back of that chase group. Now we are closing him down. We're only half a second behind, but that is a worrying thing that we're kind of held up now, and we've got this big group down through Gasly. We might be at the front of it right now, but 7 cars all bunched up. Pourchaire is quite close behind Sainz now. I feel like we have better pace than he does. Can we push and get around him?
Okay, we are.
If we're faster, we should, do something, right? We're going to get up beside him on the outside. And Albin drops to P2. And Pourchaire does not tuck back in. He stays up. Continues to battle with Sainz. That was Verstappen, who is overtaking Albin for the lead. I'd rather see the battle where we're going forward, not the one where we're going backwards. Against a much faster car. This one is who we're battling for this, this season. Let's use the overtake. We have 1 pit stop left to make, and honestly, there's not going to be much to do for a while here. at all. So let's just get on with it. Schumacher's nearly a lap down. And you're looking here. Verstappen, Albon, Hamilton, Alonso, first four. Ocon, Russell out there on their own. Pourchaire now the head of this train, which Albon and Hamilton are battle. Albon's 4 seconds back of Verstappen now. Whoa. That could have been getting around Schumacher as much as anything, but not so much because Hamilton, who has gotten around, 6.5 seconds down. So Verstappen is very quickly pulling away. He is a good half a second or better per lap. Leclerc with spin on turn 1. Another mistake from Leclerc. He's down to 17th. Should be able to get the fuel right without having to do any lifting and coasting today. Track not as wet as it was at 1.3. Be really nice if it gets just under 1 and people start to pit. Big gap to Pourchaire, now 10 seconds back. And that's definitely the most compact area, from 7th to 17th or 7th to 13th is tight. Perez has slowly caught up to that group. Multiple cars have crashed. A McLaren safety car is coming out. McLaren and an AlphaTauri. Also, the track is nearly dry. AlphaTauri is going to hit him from behind. I'm guessing a lockup. Of course it was. Oh. Rough for the McLaren. We'll see which two it is. Are they both out of the race? The McLaren, I'm assuming that hard of a hit is definitely going to be out. And they're both out. Norris, Vettel. So Vettel getting into the back of Norris on that one. They're both running neutral. This is going to take care of the fuel as well. Wouldn't that be something if somebody comes out on softs? And Albon peels off into the pits with nobody else pitting. And we're going to be at the front of the field. 2.5 for Albon. And here comes Pourchaire with nobody else around. We are giving up track position right now, but we are going to get it back. Pourchaire. Albon comes out in P6, by the way. And Pourchaire down in P15. Only ahead of Stroll, Tsunoda, and then Schumacher, who was a lap down and going to be, fighting to get back on. We're going to get a few laps of that stretching that we need to do now. Has already gone. I'm guessing we're going green. Yes, it is. Safety car ending. Fuel's already almost there. They are all going to be pitting in a handful of laps. I'm okay holding position. Now, Pourchaire may. Albon's fine from P6. Pourchaire down in P15.
You can reduce lifting
may
coast.
have to make a move. So we'll keep an eye on gap to leader instead of overall intervals. Field should stay fairly bunched up. Tsunoda a little bit off pace here as he's slipping back, but there's your grouping. Verstappen's going to slowly pull away, and that's the worrying one. How far does he get away? But from P6, P15, with everybody having to pit. Mr. 16-second down Pourchaire, but let's check in on the tires. Yeah, let's see. Everybody's below 60% now. Not long before they're going to have to pit. Pourchaire would have a difficult time moving forward and doing much better than about 10th if that happens. But we can wait, we can wait for these guys to be slower and then start making overtakes. Pourchaire gets around Guan Yu Zhou. So I think we're going to start seeing some overtakes naturally.
Just gained by Williams.
Stroll and Tsunoda getting back out on track. Well out of contention now, but again, Pourchaire way behind these guys. I need to get ahead of this group. Pourchaire, that's around Bottas. We need to just get ahead of this group and start driving our pace. Fuel, not quite right though. Not sure why it's not recovering now when it was recovering earlier. But you can see how quickly we're starting to pull away from these guys. What is our gap like now? 23 seconds down for Verstappen. Everybody else is already 9 seconds back, so he's 14 seconds behind those guys, which he did have a sizable gap, and you can see how quickly we're pulling away from them. We're already a second and a half ahead of Magnussen. The two Ferraris right now, P8, P10. So we are outscoring them, which is a real surprise today. And the track is drying out. Once again, we were looking at, here's that last stretch where the track was going to nearly dry out. Challenging Russell without the engine turned up because the fuel, for whatever reason, that was gaining comfortably all race long suddenly decided it doesn't want to gain. Porsche, 3 seconds. 3 seconds ahead of Magnussen and 9 seconds behind Leclerc, so he's got a ways to go as Albon finally gets P5 and save that battery. That's already a fair bit of used battery, and these guys are continuing on for now. 10 laps to go. Gonna fall below that 40% here quite soon and definitely be down on pace even more than they already are. Porsche needs to lift and coast. Did not expect that today. Really did not. We're at 1.03. Track right on the edge. Will somebody dive into the pits and put on the soft compound? 17 cars on the lead lap, but 15 still in some form of contention. But Porsche is already coming up on 6 seconds ahead of that group that he has left behind. So there's, a sizable gap back there. And he's coming forward, and he has just lapped Schumacher. Porsche, that's right. That gain, we started lifting and coasting. Albon might have to lift and coast a little bit himself. Let's go ahead and do that now, because it's not recovering. While we're here, while we're in this position, knowing that their tire wear is just going to make them worse and worse and worse, that the overtake is going to be easier and easier in the final laps. But while I have a tire advantage, I may need to try to use it. We're at 68%. I'm guessing they're all below 40 now. At least the first two guys are. Not sure Porsche is going to get back into the points. It looks like everybody's trying to go the distance. Positive delta. And we are up on him now. So go ahead and use that overtake. Try to get up to P4. And around Ocon, who led this race at one point. He didn't gain during that stretch, though he did drive away from this group, but was not gaining. So we'll see what he can do now with things turned back up. He has got to get into the top 10 for the bonus point. One position will give him 2 points instead of 1. And already up beside Alonso. He has used up his battery, though.
Check the DRS.
That battery is empty. Can we hold off Alonso, or can he get back around us as we have no battery down the straight here? Nobody pitting, really surprising on that part, but okay, fine. Whatever. Negative delta, but we are ahead of Hamilton. We can go standard, and we've got our P2. So we are back into P2 with Albon. That one has worked out. Porsche, not as much. Not as much. Back to a positive delta as well. Has P2 secure. We are closing up on Leclerc little by little. 5 seconds behind. Let's go aggressive. Got a few laps to catch him and try to get around him. And we honestly still could do it. We could do it. I mean, these guys are going to be pretty slow in these last couple of laps. We're coming up on that 30% threshold quite soon. Alonso is well off the pace now, and he's below that 30% threshold. We're a second ahead of Hamilton, by the way. Porsche's fuel is just right, so we can't push with that one, but Porsche can. We do have the battery, so that is something that, we can utilize here. 3 seconds back now. We've pulled back another second. Last lap, Verstappen gets the last lap. 2.5 seconds back now. We're going to start going full attack and deploy.
Good push.
Albon 1.2 ahead of Hamilton, slowly pulling away. 1.7 for Porsche. Yellow flag, somebody's got a problem.
Okay, there's a big
It's
crash.
a big crash, Magnussen. Really? All right, less than a second behind Leclerc. Can we get it done? We've got half a lap to go. Technically, we only need the one position. For one, it steals a point from Ferrari and gives us 2. So that's a 3-point switch right there. We are right up on him. We are right up on him. Come on, Porsche. Let's see some last lap heroics. Overtaking is not his specialty, and we are heading towards the stadium. We are running out of time, but we are getting up beside Leclerc into the stadium, but we are on the outside for the hairpin. We're going to get him, though. We are going to get him. Can we get one more? Fuel's still okay. Ricardo is right there. Can you get to the inside of Ricardo? No. It's going to be P10.
Yeah, copy. Nice job. Nice job.
Verstappen takes the win.
So go in
Albon
lap.
gets P2. Hamilton P3. Ocon, Alonso, Russell, Perez. Back to P7 for him. Sainz, Ricardo, Porsche just squeezes his way into the top 10 from way behind. Catches up to that group. Leclerc, P11. We gave up P7 with that pit stop. And then the mistake that happened in front of us backed us up. By the time we started making our way around and forward, we were pretty far back. And I told you that was the concern, was Porsche and what could be of the gaps. We're really surprised that these guys stayed out and pulled off the one stopper and made it work. I mean, a lot of guys were right at 30% at the end. I guess it worked out. Albon recovered. He was right back where he would have been otherwise. So no loss. Porsche, small loss.
What a pleasure it was to watch Alex Albon on the track, and an amazing result to match.
So Albon grabs 18 points today, 225, and with 2 races to go, it's secure. We are going to finish P2 in the championship, so that's fantastic. Porsche, 3 points out of 5th place right now. 3 points out of 5th. Let's hope with the 2 races to come that he can get a better result and move back up the order a little bit, because right now P7 doesn't look great. Heading into next year, we are way ahead of Bottas and Norris in the McLarens. Porsche could and should do more in these last 2 races. Let's hope he manages to do so. But with 20 points to their 4, not only did we not lose significant points today, we actually pulled out 16 more points over Ferrari, which I think is going to put to rest the P2 debate in the constructors. 67-point advantage. Mathematically, it's not done yet, right? We've got 44 points, so 88 still possible over those last 2 races. If Ferrari gets a 1-2 and fastest lap in both races, they can score 88. So all we need is 31 points over the last 2 races, and no matter what they do, they will not outscore us. But 31 is not a small amount either. But we can also assume that at least one Red Bull will be winning the last 2 races with that huge pace advantage that he has over the rest of the field. Therefore, they wouldn't be scoring quite as many points. So I think we've nearly done it. But mathematically, not quite yet. But one more good race, and it should be done. That is going to do it for this episode, though. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.